manuscript, you're staring back at me. A sea of words, but none set free. I've poured my soul, I've carved the lines, but every page, it's like we're trapped in time. My thoughts are tangled, my words so raw. I beg you, please don't make me start over. I need the magic, the edit I crave. Press the button, let the words behave. The editing blues are heavy on my chest, but pressing these keys, I find my rest. Every click, every tap, it feels so right. Awaken the manuscript to the light. Help me break free, set these words in motion. Edit my world with smooth devotion.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ekello Harrid, and you are at the Academy. Welcome, 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 welcome. We are doing that thing where we interview some of the experts, behind the scenes people who are working hard to educate you, make your world a better place, make it easier for you to write, especially with artificial intelligence. All right. So what we're doing today is we're going to be interviewing Harper. Harper is an accomplished, absolutely wonderful author who, let's just put it this way, she can produce quite a few novels and do it well with good prose, great prose. So why don't I just bring her to the stage? Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you, hi, Harper. How you doing? Hey, what's up?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
You are doing okay. You are okay. You are doing okay. All right. So, Harper, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Because this is about a course. We are doing a course over at the Future Fiction Academy, and that course is about romance outlines. And that course is about romance outlines and artificial intelligence. And I want to know what in the world, I don't know, gives you the creds to even bring a course like this forward. I mean, how are you? Are you an author of any accomplishment?
I would say moderately. Yeah, I published my first book in December of 2017.
Yeah.
Before that, I've been a writer my entire life. I wrote my very first book in first grade.
Say what?
Yes, I had an amazing teacher who believed that the best way a kid could learn how to read was if they were reading their own story. And so every single kid in the class wrote their own story. She helped write them out. We told the story, she wrote the book, and that was the book that we learned how to read with. So my very first book, fiction, was written in first grade. I've been a writer ever since.
And boom
And
goes the dynamite. I mean, because I've been in mastermind meetings with you. By the way, everyone, Harper's also in the mastermind, and we think deeply and have vigorous discussions about the way things should be and the way things are working with the tools that we're using. We all have very strong opinions. Sometimes those strong opinions are the perfect thing to put into a course, something that shows you definitive ways, actionable ways to actually do things. So this is one of the things that because we were discussing, she was here early, we were chit-chatting and stuff like that. And when we talked about her background, we were talking, I wanted to make sure that everyone understood that she's not only just an author who understands artificial intelligence, but she's been in that like mind geist, that like Gaia mind, that is the Future Fiction Academy mastermind. Can you talk to that at all?
Yeah. Well, I knew Elizabeth from before. Couple of years, I heard of her. I knew her, and then when she decided to start the Future Fiction Academy, I was one of the first students that signed up. I figured I knew her background, I knew what she could do, I knew what she was capable of. So, and I wanted to be there. Like, you know,
Yeah, I get it.
I, you know, and so I signed up. I had no idea what I was really getting into because
I don't
AI
think
was
any of us
so
did.
new. Yeah, it was like new territory.
Yeah.
And I kind of fell in love with the idea that I could talk to somebody who didn't mind the fact that I could talk for hours about romance and they wouldn't get tired of it. And I could bounce ideas off of them because, I mean, my family, they're over it. They're just, I have a husband and three boys, and romance is not in their wheelhouse.
I have to tell you, I have had some of the most poignant discussions with you and a couple of other people, like Jen, where I'll have this idea about what romance is because I'm just looking at it from a novice point of view, and y'all will all be like, no, because you all know the tropes so well. I'm always surprised at how well you all know every aspect of the way things kind of roll inside of a romance. Okay, so
Yeah, for the most part, those of us who write romance have been reading it for years. I mean, I started back in the day when I was a prepubescent teen reading Harlequin romances and Barbara Cartland historicals. So a lot of us grew up reading that. And then when I decided that I wanted to be a writer at a very young age, I always knew it was going to be a romance. So
you always knew.
I always knew I was going to write romance. That was what I love. I love the story of how people meet and fall in love. I don't always know how to get them from point A to point B, but I love exploring the story.
That seems like a really good segue. What do you mean you don't always know how to get them from point A to point B?
Okay, so a little bit of background. I am what is termed a pantser. I would say, as I've evolved as a writer, I've turned more into a maybe a plantser. I'm not sure. I'm mostly a pantser. I sit down and I write by the seat of my pants. I have certain scenes in my head and I write those and then I figure out the rest.
All right, so I'm confused. You're a pantser.
Yes.
Why is a pantser teaching anybody how to outline?
A few years ago,
Yeah.
I decided that I needed to figure out how to outline, and it was a horrible, terrible mess. So I decided the next best thing was to buy a custom outline. I would tell this person everything I wanted to have happen in the novel, and they would organize it and figure it out. Now I was lucky. Custom plots are not cheap, but I happened to get a custom plot from one of the best in the business, and she wrote an amazing outline. And that was the easiest book I have ever written. So I kind of by accident fell into this how easy is writing a novel when you have everything planned out. Now, that doesn't mean that I wrote exactly to that outline. I changed a few things as, things sparked in my head and, you
But you
know,
had a scaffolding.
I had it. Yeah, I
You had
had
a
the
thing that
goalposts.
if you slipped, that you could fall down a couple of rungs and still be all right.
Yes. And that was the easiest book I ever wrote. So I know the value of an outline. I just couldn't get there. But when AI came, I thought this was the magic bullet, right?
Yeah.
AI can write the outline. It does pretty good outlines for every other genre out there. It fails miserably when it comes to romance, in my opinion.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. You're selling a course. Come on now. You're selling a course that actually like uses artificial intelligence to write with a write outlines. So how can it not be good at it? I mean, how can you sell a course that with something that isn't even good at doing this thing?
Well, that took a few months, a lot of
Trial and error.
trial and error. I had to figure out the right way to prompt the AI to get the outlines. And it turns out that the AI was missing a few key steps, and those are the same steps that I was always missing when I was trying to plot an outline.
Ah,
And once I figured out what those steps were, not only was I able to get the AI to write a pretty decent uh, romantic outline, I kind of figured out how to do that myself without the AI.
wait a
So
minute.
it
Wait, uh, so because you were able to see how the AI did it, it made you a better writer?
it made me a better outliner.
Which
I'm
it
not
made,
going to say that it
I
makes
mean,
me a better writer. That still is a lot of hard.
I get you on the subjective thing,
Yeah,
but let's be real. It it gave you an ability that you did not have before. Am I right?
it did. It very much did.
Hmm.
I would not have had the ability to sit down right now and create an outline on my own if I had not done all that research in order to get the prompting down. And
Hmm.
once I knew how to prompt the AI, I kind of knew how to prompt myself
Ah, you
to get the outline.
you know what we haven't done? I've been remiss. Plumstone, McKinley, Sir. Oh, I think I'm getting that wrong.
Cersei,
Cersei, thank you, thank you. Oh, like Game of Thrones. Rachel. Hey, what's up, Rob? All right. Sorry about that, y'all. I just realized I didn't have it on the screen that shows the comments and nothing was moving. So, yeah, I know. I love that. Harper knows. So, hey, Harper. Okay. Uh, but you're right. All right. So you have this newfound ability because you're using artificial intelligence. It's
yes,
been pretty beneficial, wouldn't you say? The ability to give you that arm or that support or that extra appendage that you did not have as a creative. You know where my shortcomings are? My shortcomings are in um prose weaving. So I want to paint a picture and I know how to do the picture. I know what I want to have happen in the picture. I know all you know what I mean? I know
yeah,
exactly what I want to have happen in the entire scene. And artificial intelligence takes this incredibly detailed thing that I have about this scene and rearranges it in a way so that it's like trope specific. It's all of these things. So is that what is happening with you? Are you getting these like enhancements in trope? And what's the let's back up. What is the importance of tropes in the first place when it comes to romance? And is this one of the main reasons why you're having your AI was having issues writing it?
yeah. So there's debate in the fiction community of how important tropes are. Most romance authors will tell you that tropes are important because that's what readers expect.
Yeah.
The readers love reading certain tropes. And if you can maximize those tropes in your story, you're going to gain more readers.
Right. Sorry, my
And
dog. I
readers,
think she wants to. I think my dog wants to leave. Continue talking while I get rid of her.
okay. So readers have these expectations of what each trope does. I mean, there are certain scenes that they love seeing in a story, and that comes back to the types of tropes that they're reading. If you are going to be reading a marriage of convenience,
Right.
that does there are certain things that have to happen in order for a marriage of convenience trope to work. You can't just say that your book is about a marriage of convenience and they get married and then there's nothing else that ties into the trope. It's just they got married. Where's the payoff to the reader? So you have to figure out what all of those pieces are for each trope. Now, it's okay if you have just one trope,
Right.
but if you can add more, the more tropes you have in your story, the more readers you're going to pull into your story. And if you can weave all of those tropes so that each one does something specific for your book,
Right.
then it's like hitting the magic sauce because every trope has a different purpose. You have tropes that deal with backstory, and this is where like the amnesia victim comes in, or um, the rags to riches. That's part of the backstory. And then there are tropes that deal just with conflict, like the marriage of convenience. There's a reason why they have to get married, and that's part of the conflict.
Ooh.
So if you can pull in tropes from each of the different things, the backstory, the character, the
Mm.
setting, small town romance is huge. And if
Wait a
you
minute.
can,
Wait a minute. Huge means selling books, right? So
yes,
you mean you could sell more books by hitting these tropes correctly?
yes, you can.
Mm. So wait, whoa. So does that mean like, all right? So because I've been thinking about this concept, right? Speed as it affects your publishing business. We actually talk a lot about that speed thing inside of the FFA, right?
Yes,
Why do we talk about that? Because it's important for people to get their books. They get excited about an author, and you sell more of those books. I'll give you a good example. A guy named Rick Brown does this series called the Frontier Saga. He cannot put the books out fast enough for me. He can't. I read them in a day and a half, if that. If he had a book come out once a week for 15 weeks, I'd literally be in heaven, right?
wouldn't we all?
Oh my gosh.
I put out a book, and not even 24 hours later, I get emails. When's the next one coming out? Now, I have one pen name. My poor readers have been waiting 2 years for the next book.
Mm-mm-mm. Why?
And it's just,
Why have they been waiting so long?
well, part of that had to do with that event that we don't like to talk about. Part
Oh,
of it had to do with the fact that I had, a couple of deaths in the family.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
when you do that, you don't really have the right frame of mind to write. So when I came back to, kickstarting my writing again after all of that, I chose to write under the pen names that weren't as precious to me,
Ah.
if that makes sense.
Well, and it,
I
it
had,
it does free you up to figure out what is the actual voice of that particular pen name is, and the ability to, you can take risks with that pen name.
yes. And so that I have for 5 pen names now.
Wait
Yeah,
a minute, you started out with one, and now you're at five.
yes.
Jeez. And it's all because you're able to, a lot of it. Sorry, not all of it. because a lot of it has to do with education and all of the other things that you have going on in your life. But one of the main contributors to this, you would say, would be your ability to uh, prompt out real rich, um, like trope filled, like on the money outlines.
I would say yes. Yeah. The last couple of books that I published, where I was still playing with the all the outlines that because I mean this took months and a lot of prompting. I spent way more money than I probably should have, you know, through the APIs, getting the prompts going back and forth
Don't
because
we
I had to
all?
test all the models.
Yeah.
And I had to make sure that even the dumb ones
Could
could
still
do
handle
this.
this.
Yes. So I tested all the models, and the first outlines were good.
Hmm.
And I wrote a couple of books with those outlines. They weren't as good as they could have been because the outlines that I'm getting now with the way I teach in the class are so much better. They're miles better than even the books that I wrote a few months ago.
All right. So that brings us back to the class, ladies and gentlemen. The class is Romance Outlines with AI. It's a $249 class that is on sale right now for half off with the coupon code VDAY. It is $124.50 until the end of this month, which, by the way, remember, this is a short one. So you have until the end of February to get your hands on Romance Outlines with AI. So think about this purchase, y'all. It has kind of a big track with Raptor, right? Where you can use it in a free piece of software. But there is a module if you have decided to jump over to a much more robust version of Raptorite, which is called Plot Drive, which is at plotdrive.com. So go on over there and grab plotdrive.com. But if you and grab Plot Drive if you haven't done that already. But it works perfectly with Plot Drive also. It was $249 and is now $124.50 with the code VDAY. So just go follow the link below and you will get your romance outline Jimmy Jam on with the Future Fiction Academy. This is a standalone class, and Harper poured her sweat and tears into this one. As you can see, as we go through this process, as we've been talking for the past 20 minutes, the woman knows what she's talking about. And so we are excited to get this romance outlines with AI to you for half off $124.50 with the coupon code VDAY. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is so because it's faster, Harper. Do you feel like your quality is affected by the ability to generate these outlines in a much more expeditious way? I mean, do you feel like the quality of your books have suffered with your increased production because of this particular?
I would say no, that the quality has, if anything, the quality's gotten better because instead of me taking months to write one outline, I can write that same outline in a matter of minutes. Now, I still brainstorm, I still put all of my ideas into the LLM, whichever AI it is that you decide that you want to use.
I'm pretty agnostic
So,
myself.
yeah, currently I'm a Gemini girl, but I have had love affairs
I
with
get
O
it.
one and 4.0.
No,
So
I get that Gemini thing. it writes it's got some real deep cut fallbacks. It does do some AI isms that you go, wow, you really just will lock in on that particular thing. But at least it's not as determined as the other ones. The word determination doesn't appear as much in the Google's LLM. Oh, what is this? Harper's system for romance. What's this say? Romance outlines is amazing. Thank you. Thank you. She absolutely nailed it with this particular course, y'all. People are already saying how much they're enjoying this system. It's absolutely one of the weirdest things when you start working with AI is not understanding how much you can actually do to improve whatever it is that you do. I mean, in whatever it is.
Yeah, I when I first started this, it wasn't with the idea of, oh, I'm going to make a course and I'm going to teach everybody how to do the thing.
Right.
I did it because it irritated the heck out of me that I could sit down with a computer that was supposed to be able to write these great outlines, and it failed so miserably with romance. And I just could not stand that. I wanted it to be able to do the thing that I wanted it to do. And so I was doing this for me. And it, you know, it took months of research. I bought every single book on Amazon on tropes. And finally, I figured out the best way of talking to the AI because it was missing. I mean, it knows the tropes and it knows how to outline, but getting it to put the tropes in there in a way where the romance was still in the outline, it just doesn't do that.
I
And
guess I had not realized that.
it's good.
You're telling me it took. You're telling me it 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 took the romance out of the outline.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And AI is good for getting from plot A to plot, B, or point A to point B, and it does it in a very linear fashion. It likes to go straight from beginning to end. It likes to wrap things up at the end. But romance is messy, and there's a lot of push pull that totally escapes the AI. And if you can figure out how to get the AI to stop a second and go through the steps and figure out where all those push pull moments are, and then they use those to create the outline, it does a much better job.
Wow,
You can't
that's
just sit down and tell it, write a great romance outline with this, these ideas. No, you have to baby it along. You have to tell it exactly what the tropes are, or at least if it knows the tropes, you have to tell it what to do with the tropes.
wow.
And then you have to tell it what to do with the romance arc. And then it can make you an outline that still has the romance in it.
Are there worksheets and stuff like that? Maybe a Notion page or anything inside this course?
Yes,
Oh,
I give you everything. I give you the prompts. I explain how the prompts work. I explain how to change them for specific romance genres
oh,
because
oh,
not
hold on,
every
hold on.
romance genre is the same.
Look at this. So Harper, there are so many other genres that have romance subplots. This could be good for those authors too, right?
Yes, they could. As long as that author knows their genre, they know the tropes that their readers like for those subplots. I mean,
Right.
romantic suspense or military romance or every single one of those has their own tropes that readers like.
Uh,
So
yeah.
if you can pull those in and have the AI do all of the different scenes for those tropes and then work them into the outline, the romance is still going to be front and center instead of in the background.
Oh, that's so brilliant. That's a brilliant hack.
And
Oh,
also, it improves the pacing. One of the biggest criticisms that I heard Elizabeth make over and over again in classes
you're
was
welcome,
that
Ursula.
the pacing is always off. Well, when you do the romance outlines the way I teach you in the class, the pacing improves. And that was totally by accident. That was not me at all. That was just because you're setting the AI up in a logical way that
For
fits romance.
for success.
Yes.
You really give it all of the tools it needs to actually execute the thing you want. So here's a like off the cuff, not in the book question. Um uh Reasoning models. I just did a video last Monday on reasoning models. Yeah, the Monday that just passed on reasoning models. Against, as opposed to non-reasoning models. So if you haven't seen it, please check it out. But in that, I started thinking to myself, are you telling me that if you give it the ability to think, because I mean, the new Grok has the ability to think right off the bat. The Google has a thinking model, and Anthropic does not. But hey, Anthropic does their own thing. And so I'm thinking that thinking models might be the way to go when you're trying to combine these things. I mean, it's going to need to think about how to combine these things in a effective way, correct?
Yeah, thinking models are amazing when it comes to planning.
Mm.
And the more information you can give it, the better it is at planning. So I'm not saying that you can just sit down and give it a few tropes and write an amazing outline. You can still write a decent romance outline doing that, but you're going to have much better success if you bring all your ideas and then give it to the thinking model. The thinking model is going to go through all of the different steps. And then
Hmm.
you're going to edit anything you don't like, and you're going to let it do its thing for the next few steps.
Ah.
And in I I I can't even really calculate because sometimes I would take doing an outline as a pantser on my own. It could take me months just to work out one outline.
Oh, the indecision.
Yes. But
Yeah.
working with an outline with the AI, it takes literally minutes
It
to,
almost you almost become like a ghostwriter for the you 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 take that whole organizational bullcaca out of the whole thing, and you become this ghostwriter for yourself. So you say
yeah,
all of these things that you wanted to have happen, and that it makes this thing that you then follow like you're a ghostwriter. But it does it
yeah,
with intricacy and detail and a lot of stuff that fits into every single trope and of the genre or genres that you are rocking.
yeah. And I can make lots of outlines now. I can make more outlines than I can make books at the
I don't
moment.
know. You've seen some of the techniques inside the FFA. You
Well,
could
that's true.
probably you could.
That's true. But at my heart, I am still a pantser for a lot of the stories that I write, and I love to sit down and I don't. I love pantsing with the AI. Don't get me wrong, because that is an amazing experience. Being able to give it all your ideas and then have it, spit out at you something that is so amazing,
And
and it
just
fills
yeah.
in the holes that I missed. Because when I write, I tend to forget things like descriptions, and I do great at dialogue, but then I have to go back and tell it to fill in what's the character doing while they're speaking, because I don't know. I like to plow through my first draft. So there's a lot missing in that first draft. And having the AI help me go back and fill in all the
Mm.
things. Like I wrote a Christmas book, and there wasn't one single Christmas decoration in the entire book. So guess what I had to go back and do?
You're kidding me.
Nope, true story.
Wait. That's just like that is that's just like writing that's just like writing uh um a F1 romance without any cars in it.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just saying this. I'm like, what the? Oh my goodness.
So
Hey, here's uh, um, I know you have a thought, but here's someone else is asking another question. Does this
yeah,
course work?
that's what I was the thought because I just saw that.
Mm.
So Erica asked, does this course work for authors who have a pretty good idea of their plot but need help making the outline? I would say yes, because that's me on a typical day. I have tons of thoughts, and I'm I'm not bashing those people that just want the AI to do a lot of it and then they go back and edit. That's fine. That doesn't work for me because I have all of these thoughts that I want to get down. And so I feed all of those thoughts into the prompt when I'm first prompting the AI for the outline. You can do that. You can give it all of the information that you have. And then if you get to a point where this isn't working, you can give it some more. So at each stage, you can modify and edit and throw in all of your ideas. Because for me, when I'm making outlines, that's the best way of doing it. For other people, they just want the outline to do the thing, and it can actually do the thing. You can not give it any information, and because of the way I plotted it, it will give you a romance outline that's halfway decent.
What
It's
is
not as good as if you had put in all your thoughts, but it will still give you a decent romance outline.
I have been a big preacher from the very beginning. Specificity is king. Like I started my other channel with that phrase. I think it was the first or second or third. You got to be specific. You're the writer. You writing, right? It's your talent, right? You got opinions, right? So
Yeah,
I
I mean, the more that you can put of you into the book, the better you're going to be. And whatever that looks like. And it's different for every author. Every author
absolutely.
comes at it in a different frame of mind. And for those of us who are very opinionated about what our books look like, we have, I mean, because I write in a couple of genres that are very niche, shall we say. And I know those genres. The AI doesn't, I mean, when I first started writing with AI, the AI didn't even know really what that niche was.
Hmm.
It does now, but it
Right.
didn't back then. And
And
so,
no, we're not going to tell y'all what the niche is.
no,
I'm just saying, don't even ask. We're
yeah,
not gonna
don't
tell you.
ask.
Yeah, it's just it's that's the whole point of having pen names is that you can write in these little weird esoteric things. There may be people who like certain kind of fountain pens and historical romances, right? I mean, that weird of a genre where that nichey. So just let your imaginations roll. But that's you could niche down and really kind of educate it on exactly how the tropes that you do want to hit or that have appeared and it doesn't know about, you know. And
Right. I mean,
okay.
the AI is good at a lot of things, but there are still a lot of things it doesn't know. So if you have rules, like it still has trouble with reverse harem and dark romance. So I had to come up with a list of rules.
Hmm.
so that it could create a dark romance outline and a
Oh,
reverse harem outline. Because one thing you have to realize, because of the way that it's trained, AIs are a little
P-
heteronormative.
I was gonna say PC,
Yes,
very
they're very
vanilla
politically
sex.
correct.
Yeah.
And they don't do well with polyamorous relationships.
Hmm.
They don't do well with romance niches where it's not a typical happily ever after at the end.
Right.
So you have to give it a framework in order to go there. So if you can give it a list of rules, and that's going to, every dark romance author is going to have their own list of rules of what they like in their books. I am not a dark romance author. I have read a few, and so I could give it a basic list of rules that it can follow. I would highly recommend dark romance authors to look at those list of rules that I give in the course and make changes to it. Now I do write reverse harem, and so I gave it a list of rules for how I write my reverse harem. Again, there are a few different ways to write reverse harem, and not every single author is going to write it in exactly the same way that I do.
Right. Now,
So
hey,
again, those lists of rules will have to be edited by the author so that it more closely fits their version of that type of book.
so is this a work at your own pace class? Can I work at 3 a.m.?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's the videos are up. The notes are all there. You can do it whenever you want. Now, I will admit I am willing to answer any questions that anybody has in Discord. Just, even if you're just in the free Raptor Rate course, you can find me in the FFA Discord. But it's unlikely that I'm going to be answering questions. Well, let's just say that usually I'm in bed by around 3 a.m. Not always. There
Well,
have been a few times that I go to bed at 5 a.m. and I'm on the East Coast
how
of the
about this?
US.
You ping her on
But
this. If you ping her on Discord, do not expect, even if it looks like it's green, do not expect an immediate answer automatically. But you will probably get an answer within 24 hours. Take my word
yes,
for it. Harper
yes.
is no slouch. Oh, wow. Things are popping off here. What is this saying? Oh, why choose? Yes, like why choose or jealous guys, for example. Exactly. And somebody went, ha. I'm a romance author, and I've been using it quite a bit for outlines. I created my own generic outlines, and I give a list of scenes that I wanted, an outline, premise, and a list of tropes. Yes, that's exactly what she's saying, MB. Exactly what she's saying. So if you want to not trial, not error, not do all of these things that you are probably going to hit your head against, then remember you can get a course that is romance and outlines with AI for $249. But until the end of the month, until February 28th, it's half off, $124.50 with the coupon code VDAY until the 28th of February. Get workbooks, you get videos, you can do this thing at your own pace, you get insight and access to the actual teacher of the course, all for the bargain basement price of $124.50 with the code VDAY. So going on over to the Future Fiction Factory, there's links in the description at the very bottom. Go right to the bottom and get your course today. Now, remember, there are tons of other courses that all still apply to that VDAY coupon. So you can go over there and you can get this course and a bunch of other courses all before the 28th of February and all for half off. All right, Harper, this is crazy. This has been such a really kind of peek behind the curtains. All right, so I'll give y'all an example. One day we were in the mastermind. We have a tendency every once in a while to have a wild weekend, wouldn't you say, Harper? We all hang out for the whole weekend. Somebody
Yep.
EAW. Somebody has gotten a hair up their patuchus to create some whole new innovative way of doing things. And we have been like pulled into the vortex and spent copious amounts of time building. One of the things about the FFA, we are builders. We build. You know what we build? We build books. We build publishing businesses. We build education. We build standalone classes. We have a just a, an wouldn't you say that the mastermind and the small group phenomenon has just taken the FFA by storm?
Yes. I just
What?
I don't even know where to start with that because
Because it's difficult to it's hard. All right, it's hard to articulate, everyone, um the benefits, what happens when a bunch of like-minded people are working hard on an innovation, on a new way of doing things, on a paradigm that may, in our opinions, shift the industry. It's difficult to talk about that stuff. When you say, Harper?
it's hard to keep up. It is. I mean, I'm there, and most of the time I've missed a couple,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's you get excited and you chatter back and forth, and I don't know. There's a there's an energy and an excitement in that at the same time
Right.
that it's hard to describe. It really is. And what gets me sometimes is that I'm becoming one of those people that is, the instigator of some of that. And I don't quite know what to do with that.
Well, when your imagination pops off and you can all right. So, all right. Um um I have this idea, right? That it's not a new idea, it's not my idea. It is the idea that in order to get an iPhone, you need to figure out what quantum physics is. Before any of that has to happen, you have to have electricity. Before any of that stuff has to happen, you have to have people who are willing to make the world change so that things like electricity and phones and all these things can lead to better technologies. And that is what I feel like we are experiencing. I feel like we are experiencing tech in a frenetic sort of environment, kind of pressure cooker environment, where we make innovations and then we realize, because we made that innovation, how we can make an even better innovation. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah, I get it. And I kind of look at it in a slightly different way, mostly because the way my brain works, probably. I think of it as obsessions because I become obsessed about certain little things. And then that obsession just sort of grows, and it spills over into I have to talk to people about it. And then, that grows even more because then I get feedback. And I when I was testing all this, I had a group of other authors in the FFA that they were testing different things that I was working on, and they would give me feedback. So I can't say that it was all me because it helped to have these other authors in the FFA, testing out the crap that I was giving them and saying, you know,
We're great for that,
this
aren't we? I mean, we are
So,
great at testing out some crazy crap.
oh yeah.
Rexy,
So
Rexy
everybody,
won. Rexy won. Rexy won.
everybody, yeah, that's true. I mean, I wasn't as thrilled about Rexy One until I finally figured out how to use Rexy One.
And then she built Rexy too.
She did. So,
Anyway, go ahead.
but yeah, I mean, with all of the feedback that I got, I was then able to ask Elizabeth for some tropes. Now, I don't write Jeff. I think everybody knows that Elizabeth is a Jack queen.
Yeah.
I am the type of person. The reason I don't write Jane Austen fan fiction is because I am a Sense and Sensibility girl, and if you write Jeff, you don't write that book.
Okay.
So when I went to Elizabeth, I asked her for a story idea for a Jeff book and tropes to go with that. She gave me a story idea and the most difficult trope that you can write in a Jeff book. And I took that and I fed it through all of my different prompts that I do because I do these one at a time in Raptorite when I
Right.
was still figuring it out and I had to go step by step. And then I give it back to her. And I kind of knew that I was onto something because the response that I got back was, holy crap. And that's, you know,
Elizabeth did that?
that was enough. I mean, that literally was enough to let me know that I was onto something.
Uh-oh.
And she said pacing was better. And then, of course, she proceeded to tell me what was wrong with it.
Right.
And that was true. There were a few things wrong because the AI still tried to tidy up the ending chapters so that they weren't as impactful as they could have been.
Of
But
course. Of course it did. Let's be real. It's a
yeah,
thing. Hey, I want to get back to this comment right here. I 100% agree. Harper is a great teacher, y'all. If you are interested, y'all, in this course, you will get not just the worksheets, not just the videos, not just this course. You get a wee bit of Harper. Harper is an absolute dream when it comes to patience and the ability to explain things to you in a way that just makes you think to yourself, "Oh, what? You're right about that. Yeah, well, yeah." I cannot tell you how many times I've been in a meeting and Harper has said a thing and half the room is gone. Huh, yeah, yeah, you're right about that. Yeah. In that kind of author quiet way, we all just sit in that moment. That happens a lot with Harper. I Here's another one. Here's Harper. You got any trope book recommendations?
I do. I will tell you my very favorite trope books at the moment.
Ooh,
She had Cindy D's. I think it's Cindi Dees. I think that's how you pronounce or spell her name.
CI.
She has 4 books out on romance tropes right now, and she has just started a series on thriller tropes.
D what?
Dees.
Dees. So with
Yes,
a I, Cindy with an I, and Dees. I'm gonna put that in
I
the chat.
believe so.
So y'all look that up if you are wanting some trope
It's
books.
the Tropeaholics series of books, I believe,
Ooh,
is what the name of it
Tropeaholics.
is.
That actually
Yeah.
sounds real catchy. That's a brilliant man. Wish I had thought of that one.
Yeah, I know, me too.
Tropeaholics. Shoot,
Now
that's
I have
money
to
make.
admit, she came out with her first book in like 2023,
All right,
and I bought it because I was buying all the trope books.
right,
I
right.
wasn't reading them at that time.
But
And
it's
so that
interesting.
first book sat on my Kindle for months before I even got a chance to read. When I started deep diving into these outlines, and I pulled out those books, and it was like, I wish I had read them months ago
Oh,
because she does an amazing job of explaining tropes and how to break them down.
and you were able to plug these suckers into your system and really kind of get it rolling?
Well, I plugged the idea. I didn't plug the tropes because the AI knows the tropes
Thank you,
and it can
Plunstone.
figure out what the major scenes are for each trope. So you don't have to. One of the critical things that I wanted to make sure that I did were with these prompts was that it didn't rely on any one template or uh, book on tropes or anything. I pulled the prompting pulls from a lot of different sources, but I wanted to be able to get the prompts so that people could adjust them and they didn't have to rely on some other person's proprietary information. Does
Right.
that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So while I drew on the ideas that are in that book and a few other books, the prompts themselves don't rely on that. And you can modify the prompts to fit other genres. They don't have to be romance.
Ah. And
As
ladies and
long
gentlemen,
as as long as that genre has tropes, and most genres do. I've not read a genre yet that doesn't have some type of trope that readers expect to be in there. So
that is,
you can
uh,
modify the romance prompts. You can take the romance part out of it. It is hard coded into the prompts, but I show you how to take that out. And in fact, we will be doing a class in March on how to turn those prompts into prompts that can create a thriller outline. That was by request for one of the FFA students. So we're going to do a class on that.
yeah.
And
You know what's interesting about this? It keeps folding down to me to the fact that we are you if you have the knowledge, if you actually have the ability, the to if someone teaches you how to fish, how to bake a cake, how to make bread, you'll always be able to do that thing. You'll be able to have kind of those basic skills. This is a thing that you'll be able to go back to, reference over and over again, and go at your own pace. The go at your own pace part of this thing cannot be overstated. You have the ability to sit in this information, listen to the dulcet tones of Harper over and over and over again until she mothers you into the future. You could actually learn this sucker like over the next 3 or 4 days. Go over it 4 or 5 times and get to writing, which is what we want to do. You have a publishing business. You have you don't have a publishing business. You are a first-time author. You don't want to screw around with a lot of stuff. You have the passion to write, and you want your outlines to be perfect or as close to perfect as you possibly can. This is an opportunity, especially for people in the romance genre, uh, because this is built for you. But anyone else who really kind of writes and maybe has aspects of romance in it, this could also benefit you too. Think about this: $124.50 with the code VDAY, and you can have this superpower too. Harper, Harper, holy crap. This has been wonderful. Thank you. I
you're
appreciate
welcome.
this.
I'll admit I was a little nervous, but once I started talking, it wasn't that bad.
No, it's not that bad. And next time we have a standalone class that you build, we are going to have you back on, especially since you're an old hat at this now. We got you now. We got you, girl. You are
I guess
coming.
so.
Yep, you are coming back. Yee-hoo! All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Ekello Harrid. Make sure you go over to the Future Fiction Factory. Did I say factory? Oh my
It
God,
does. Wrong
it
one.
does. That's the name of my channel, is the Future Fiction Factory, and I think I just did that, and that's been popping up all da me. God bless. All right, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, come on over to the Future Fiction Academy. There's a link in the description below, and it'll give you access to it'll give you the ability to go and look at each one of those standalone classes, one of which is Romance Outlines with AI, which is usually $249. But until the end of this month, you can get this sucker for $124.50. My name's Ekello Harrid. This is Harper. Thank you, Harper.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
No problem. And I will see each and every one of you, all of you, in class. Have, a pretty amazing, a pretty good, amazing day. See you later.
Each word, each sentence feels incomplete, but with every push I'll feel the beat. From despair to clarity I start to see the edit I need, it's right here with me. The editing blues are heavy on my chest, but pressing these keys I find my rest. Every click, every tap, it feels so right. Awaken the manuscript to the light. Help me break free, set these words in motion. Edit my world with smooth devotion. Oh manuscript, don't be so cold.